Happy Saturn Day, you guys. What's going on? Hey, we've been playing in a brand new gospel. And, oh, can you look behind me? Look, I have been doing things. I moved my bed over here. And I'm setting up my background there to be a place where I can paint. But I'm finally getting off my ass. All right? Sort of. But anyways, oh, see, this is my friend who makes these t-shirts. The Blob. The Blob. This is an old shirt. I've had it for a couple of years. All right. So what we're finding out in this Gnostic text, and of course they call him Gnostic. Gnostic is knowledge. This is idea of knowing God. And so you can tell why and how. And why they make such a distinguish between those people that know God and those that don't know God is the way that they teach, because they actually don't like this kind of information being thrown out in front of people that possibly do want to go through and say, does this really mean this? And does that really mean that? And of course, all I had was just like I started unraveling something that totally fell apart. And I'm just the coolest shit on earth, you guys. But listen, uh, this gospel, this gospel of Phillip, is really long. It's 143 chapters long, if we want to call them chapters. Not even chapters. Whenever I'm reading and listening to the stories like the Tao, D-A-O, or T-A-O, and any of these stories with the Oriental stories and stuff like that, they are also really long, and they have a number, and they'll say this is, part 1, 2, up to, whatever. Like this one here comes down to 143. So that's a whole mess of scripture. All right, as we keep walking down the road here. All right. What you'll get is it's strange, because not only are the number systems fixed between 1 through 9 that we know it's going to be looking for 1 through 9, but when it gets into 20 and 30 and 40 and 50 and 60 and 70 and 80, all of those, then you've got a whole run of anything that runs with that number in there. If it becomes like a 3, then you get, I think 10 lines of things that represent a 3 within, it breaks them down even further. It's you guys, my God, it's the cool stuff. That's why it is that I think these longer texts, they give you a sampling for each one of those individual numbers. So if you get a 9, something that has to do with 9, and it keeps showing up as a 9, no matter how long the number is, how many letters or how many numbers there are to create that, when it basically comes back down to that 9, it's going to be about consciousness. It's going to tell you the way it is. And in these worlds, in this time, and with this guy, it's back and forth. It's telling you this is where the mind is like this, and then this is what happens when a mind is like that. No different than the rest of the Bibles, or the Bible text. So I'm going to minus you down real fast, and we're supposed to get through these quickly. But what I was trying to get to there is that, in the numbers of 20s, it's going to be about the combination of God or something solid and something spiritual, or something like that. It's God's creation. And those that are in the 30s are going to be whether or not you kick over or don't kick over. It's either going to be freedom or control. And that's how these all are going to work. In a way, if you come to a 4th and talk about world, in this world, and then when you come to a 5, you'll get all these wonderful samples of things that are going on with the body. And of course, 6 would be all these different things that are going on with her. She comes in, when you come to 6, any of them, like I said, it's got a her. It's going to be talking about we're going to be, it's talking about the female side and the kundalini. This is the female energy, you know. All right, so real quick, because we want these to go fast. I pegged out number 86 to talk about. Number 86, this will be 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 1, 4. 14. 4 and 1 would be a 5. Goodness gracious. If the female had not separated from the male, she would not afterwards have died with the male. Her separation was the incept of death, the inception of death. Therefore, the Christ came so that he might rectify to himself the separation that had obtained from the beginning by his mating the two together. And by his mating them together, he shall give their lives to those who have died in the separation. Yet the woman mates with her husband in the bridal chamber. Those, however, who have mated in the bridal chamber will no longer be separated. Because of this, Eve separated from Adam, because she did not mate with him in the bridal chamber. That was putting on the brakes. 86. Can't get it any clearer than that. Here, I hate just talking to the air. Did you hear that? These scriptures, they have it right out on the surface for us dummies. All right. The separation, Jesus comes in to change the separation. All right. This is where it comes about. And I really love it if my friend Birdie Bird was listening to this, because this little bit of scripture, number 86, in this Gospel of Phillip, explains everything. It shows that there was a separation. That with the separation, she dies. So does the man. She dies along with him. Except he's representing the physical side, and so he just goes on. So Jesus, who's actually representing a spiritual side of us, when we get him going, he unites them, and he is the way. Remember, and we talk about our chakra system as being a set situation. That once we get it going, get it fired up and ready to go, that it becomes what brings mother and father together. And this union is what brings about this new mind, the new heaven, and the new earth. I don't need to say anymore. It's the coolest shit on earth, you guys. Why doesn't anyone care? Why does anybody? We could all be jumping in our mother's laps just like that. A lot of us, we could just go swimming, just swimming. But no. All right, you guys, I love you. I'll be back. This is Saturday morning, and I got a little time to kill.